apologies, mic was off. The April 24, 2013 Disability Advisory Commission meeting will please come to order. Roll call. Commissioner Klein?
Here.
Okay. Commissioner Yeager?
Present.
Commissioner Kaiser? Okay. Commissioner Lewis? Commissioner Jones? Okay, I think that was everyone. Please let the record reflect that Commissioner Lewis, Kaiser, and Jones are absent, but there is a quorum present. Will everyone please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
At this time, I'd like to invite Sherry to come up and start our swearing in of our new commissioner. Her name is, I'll let you do the honors, okay?
Yes, thank you. Okay, we do not have the hand called, so we'll do.
Do you want me to hold it?
I think it should
Do
be.
you want me to be it?
Can you hear me from here?
We can hear you.
Oh, right.
Okay.
Stand right here. Thank you, that works great.
That's perfect.
I'll have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name for the record.
Michelle Belson,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution
the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the laws
and the laws
of the state of Arizona,
of the state of Arizona,
that I will bear
that I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and defend them
and defend them
against all enemies
against all enemies
whatsoever,
whatsoever,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially
and impartially
discharge the duties
discharge the duties
of the position of
of the position of
Disability Advisory Commission,
Disability Advisory Commission,
and hereby attest
and hereby attest
to abide
to abide
by all official
by all official
ordinances,
ordinances,
policies,
policies,
and procedures
and procedures
of the City of Surprise,
of the City of Surprise,
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much, and we have your new commission member, Michelle Dawson.
Welcome, Commissioner Belson. Please let the records reflect that Commissioner Jones is present. All right. Now, current events and reports. Commissioners, Commissioner Klein, do you have anything to report on?
I guess so. In the last month, I participated in the Relay for Life, which is a 16-hour event here at Valley Vista High School, and talked to a number of, of individuals. The event was very well attended. We had a number of persons with disabilities who attended, as well as cancer survivors, at both our survivor brunch as well as our main event. And I think the overall event went very well, and be looking forward to having the city support it again in the future.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein. Commissioner Yeager?
If you recall, last month I reported on the 911 center that I visited the previous month, and was waiting for an official outcome from Donnell Fennessy, the supervisor at the 911 center. And she contacted me, and at this point, they are not able to take the information from people who are disabled in the city of Surprise to put them in the 911 center. Hopefully that's something that will be worked on in the future, or as technology or a budget permits, that'll be worked on in the future, and we'll be able to have that. But as of now, there's no way we can register our disabled citizens at the 911 center for emergencies.
Thank you, Commissioner Yeager. Commissioner Jones?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to talk about the event from WHAM. Is that okay? Or do you want to talk about it later? Okay. Have you already shared anything with
Nothing.
it? Okay.
I was waiting for you, yes.
It was a wonderful event. We surprised did not let anyone down on the weather because it was a beautiful day. It wasn't too hot. I would say that it was probably a good turnout during the time frame that I was there. Lots of families, lots of kids, lots of pets. Everybody having a afternoon at the park. We were really positioned beside probably the greatest event. Wouldn't you agree, Chair? Yeah, it was the greatest event where the special section was set up for anyone with any type of disability to be able to actually make their own art, to do their own painting. Very large area set up. I'm not good with square footage, so but I would say that it was a very very nice space. It wasn't really crowded, which meant that any individual could have the space completely to himself or herself during the time that they were there. Lots of attention to details. This is just a little thing, but they had come prepared to put duct tape on the wheels if you were in a wheelchair so that you wouldn't get paint all over the wheels. I mean, just that much of detail to make sure that everyone could be accommodated by the event. And really, it was like no time. If you wanted to spend 15 minutes out there, you could. So I think it was really nice. And probably the greatest thing of all was the smiles that you saw. I did interact with one individual, not sure of her relationship with the young lady, but she's from Paradise Valley, and said, wow, I can't believe this park in Surprise, and I can't believe this event. So just very, very happy. And I overall thought that it was a very wonderful event. The individual that was in charge of it, the whole concept, was very hands-on, immediately there to assist everyone. At one point, he was having, I would say, a great time. You could just tell by the expression on his face, actually spending time with this little girl in her wheelchair, and they were painting a picture. So it was really an awesome event. What did I forget?
Nothing. I think the little girl was my daughter.
No, this was after
another one?
this was
Oh,
after
okay.
you left. So he was having, well,
he had a great time.
he did it a couple of other times after you left.
Oh,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that because I was concerned that it had not been attended as well as it could have been. Next year, hopefully, we'll be able to give it a lot more publicity.
I would say that yes, it could have been attended, more, but, if it's the first time out and each individual that interacted with it really felt very special, not only that they would be able to be accommodated very efficiently, but there was no time, they didn't have to wait in line either way, and they could spend a lot of time with it. And then they had lots of little kids that were just painting various things, and they had a couple different sections set up that they could do that in. But I felt good about the individuals being able to spend time, as much time as they wanted, in the actual mode of painting. And it was pretty fascinating. I don't know, Madam Chair, if you had a chance to watch some of it, on how they set it all up, on how they accommodated and how he put the paint in and how he would hook it on. And yeah, don't get me to explain it because I'm not good at that. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Thank you, Commissioner Jones. I totally agree. It was really, really nice. I just wish we could have had a lot more participation, and I definitely hope they're going to be doing it again next year. I was really proud to be a part of that, and I loved the fact that my daughter did get to participate, and I hope to see the final product soon.
Do you know if, I didn't see it, but I mean, it could definitely have been happening, that if maybe someone was like the official photographer of the event so that maybe they would have it
They
for
do
later
that.
to be, did they? Oh, that's good. Because then they could really have a lot of show and tell.
As a matter of fact, Margaret took care of the, she's just wonderful. I also took quite a few photos. And one of the things, which reminds me, a little bit off the point, but I think we need some good photos of the commission. And so if we can plan maybe for the next meeting, we'll talk about that on the agenda items. So just ponder that, because when we put together the newsletter, we had really nothing to work with. So that's my report. I don't have anything else to share aside from the WHAM event. Oh, also Rika and Mike were really great at putting together our brochure for us, getting it printed out. If we could have some more, thank you, Rika. If we can have some more that we can hand out to all the commissioners so that we can have available to us, would be great.
Yeah, we didn't have any. I gave the rest of them out.
Oh, good.
At the event, and then I gave the banner to Mike.
Thank you.
I put it in tonight, yeah.
And they also, the city provided us with a wonderful banner. I think we were pretty well prepared. The only thing that I wish we do have, especially for a PowerPoint presentation that's coming up, is to have photos of the commission, have actual hands-on. So, any other reports? And Commissioner Belson, I don't think we put you on the spot for a report today.
No, I don't have anything to really report.
All righty. I lost the gavel. Excuse me, folks. I would do that on camera. All righty. Staff reports.
Just one thing, I think this is going to be pretty standard because I seem to be getting the emails monthly now. The clerk's office is asking if there will be any quorums. I know your meetings will be a quorum in addition to your meetings for next month. You don't anticipate being anywhere where you might see a quorum?
Can you recall if something's coming up off the top of your head?
No,
For
I
the
think
month of May,
Wham
or-
was
That was a big,
the
yeah.
event, yeah. But I just got the email today, so I thought I would ask, so I can let them know.
Right, and it was just the two of us at Wham, and we actually were only overlapped by maybe 15, 20
Yeah.
minutes.
Right.
That was it.
So if something else comes up between now and May, let me know so that we can put it on the city calendars as a notice of a quorum. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, I'll report just your meeting for next month.
Okay.
The only other thing, in the interests of time, because the agenda's so full, so glad you. The Adaptive Rec Supervisor has given us an update as to the programs that Adaptive Rec is working on, April, May, early June. So instead of going through each one individually, I just thought I would provide you the list of the events that he's working on or has been working on. And as everybody knows, it's on the city's website, so the public can get any information about these through there. But I wanted to share that with you because he did provide it to me. So other than that, that's it.
Thank you, Rika. I will take a moment to at least highlight them. Won't go into detail. They have a level 1 swim, actually 2 different times, 2 level 1 swim courses, a family camp outing at Lake Pleasant, April 27th through 28th. They have arts and crafts starting May 18th. Fitness is fun. Oh, okay, that's great. Begins May 18th. Cooking, and that starts also May 18th. June 1st is the June Saturday social. May 28th is buddy bowling, and there are swim lessons. And the one thing I also wanted to note that on correspondence that is going out from the city, that they are from Joe's department, they are mentioning the Disability Advisory Commission meetings to get the word out. Also want to remind commissioners to please press your button so that I can recognize you. Commissioner Klein?
Rika, was there any update on the outstanding grant request?
I have not heard from Jessica regarding that.
Okay.
So
Can you make a note to check on that for next
I
month?
will check
I'm
on
gonna
it. I meant
assume
to
no
do that
news is
today.
good no news is good news.
right, I meant to do that today, but I've been out of the office most of the day and
Okay.
it slipped my mind, but it is on my list.
I can mention, I have been reviewing outstanding available grants for closed captioning and things like that, and we do not have any grant availability at this time that I've been able to locate, although there may be an opportunity to go directly to a provider if the city were to request some kind of, if that becomes a special funding, we may be able to proceed by going to a provider of the equipment and asking for something in that case. So that's just an extra thing on what I'm supposed to report on. Sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Klein. We will now have the call to the public. Anyone wishing to speak? No? Okay, then we will move on. Item number 2 is the discussion of possible approval of proposed DAC webpage content and layout, as well as quarterly surprise progress newsletter content. Mr. Ken Lynch?
Yeah.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commission members. My name is Ken Lynch. I'm the Marketing and Communications Director for the city. Thank you for inviting me here tonight. We're very excited to be part of what you're doing with the Communications Department and hope that we can be of assistance to you as you move forward. Let me review quickly with you what communication vehicles are available and how we use them. Primarily for the commissions, your most effective means of communication will be your website. We are in the process, just so you know, with the recent activity level that we've seen among especially 3 or 4 specific commissions, reviewing and revising the web presentations. Now, as the communications director, I need to lay out just a couple of things for you. Our web service is provided by what's called a CMS, or a content management service. We use a company called Civic Plus out of Olathe, Kansas. We also have an interest in standardizing our web pages and our web appearance. And consequently, our internal web designer, and we do have one, our webmaster, is in the process of designing a templated website that will be, we think, more effective for the commissioners because it will include things such as a news area, a photo gallery, an events listing, along with the other things that you're required to have either by law or by tradition, such as your minutes, your agendas, your quorums, and that sort of thing. Now, the great thing about having an active website is that people who visit that site can get a ton of information about what you're doing and about your activities, and more important, I think, from my perspective, and I hope you share this, how they can get involved with what you're doing and how you can ramp up the activity of the disabled community in Surprise. That's all if they get there. The key thing is how to get them there, and that's where you really come in. It's going to be very important, at least my recommendation to the Commission, Madam Chair, is that you stay very active and very involved in promoting your events, in talking them up in the community, in talking to, say, the local media, and we can help you with that. For example, we have just a handful of reporters locally in Surprise with the Independent and the Daily News Sun and the Republic who are very receptive to what's going on in the community. Unfortunately, and I have my own theories, but I won't speculate, they tend not to reach out too much. Well, I'll speculate for on one reason anyway. They're very understaffed and they have a lot of very tough deadlines. But they're very receptive to hearing from people who are proactive, who are saying, hey, we're working on this project, or you should come to our meetings, or how about featuring the work of the commission so people will know a little bit more about how engaged we are. And we can help you with those contacts. We can put you in touch with those people. We can recommend to those reporters that they listen to you and take your calls. And then as things develop, if you'll let us know, we can be sure that they're posted on your website. Photos are a great example. Anything that went on, like the event at WHAM that Margaret took the pictures of, ship those over to us. We'll make darn sure they're on your website, and then tell people, please, that they're on your website. Those are the kind of areas where I think we can have an immediate impact in assisting the Commission. Our challenges are the ones that I know you're aware of. I am now looking at a Commission that is larger than my entire communications department, including me. So we have certainly we're resource challenged. We're a very productive group. I think we're a very effective group, especially considering our size and our budget. But when we talk about how we can help a commission such as yours, I really see it as being a joint effort where the instigator and the people leading the charge are the commission themselves, and we can help enable your efforts through the vehicles that we can provide to you. But I think the key is going to be getting you engaged in those vehicles and making sure that you use them. I know you mentioned Progress. If I can transition to that for a little bit. Progress, as you probably know, is a quarterly magazine. It goes to each household in the city. It's entirely funded by the City of Surprise. It's in my budget. It's a 16-page glossy. In the publishing world, that's considered 4 pages because it's 4 sheets, basically, that when they're all folded together, open 16 times. We are very flexible with that magazine. We try to be very aware and alive to what's happening in the city in terms of events and activities and priorities. So I would definitely love to know what you would consider to be important for our residents to know, so that as we approach our quarterly progress deadlines, I'll be able to consider what you're doing and consider if and how we can find a place for it in progress. I got to be honest with you, I'm not promising you that I will, and certainly not every time. It's a very competitive marketplace, even within the organization, and we try to do our best to stay very topical and stay on top of what's basically urgent within the city during that particular quarter. Consequently, it is very flexible. Right now, I can't tell you what's going to be in the July issue because I don't know. We have to be fast on our feet, responsive to what's happening, and we'll do that story budgeting in late May and early June. I know I've been talking a lot, and I'm sorry, but I was very pleased to be invited, and I'm glad I'm here, and I'll be happy to answer any questions.
We are thrilled to have you here with us. I do have a couple of questions before I start taking questions from the commission. Do we have a web page or a website that we're going to have?
You have a website which consists of several pages.
Oh,
and it's in the process of being revised and updated. And once that is in place, I will see to it through staff that all the commissions are notified of that, and you'll have an opportunity to kind of get up to speed on it.
Also, since you're using a content management system, is it possible that we can assist by, with some admin background and just be able to plug in some of the stuff, upload photos, or do you want everything run through you?
I'd prefer if it comes through my office. That's the way we operate all of our departmental websites, and I assure you we act very, very quickly on anything you send us.
Okay, great, thank you. Commissioner Belson?
Hi. I had a question in regards to the website and your design phase. Can you add a link page where we can give you specialized links for people with disabilities? If, for an example, a new parent just finds out their child has Asperger's, for an example, and they don't know anything to do, we could list like a different links for parents to go and find different places that could help them.
Sure. In fact, this commission is an exception to a lot of the other commissions in that on your site now is a very substantial web link page. And that's exactly the kind of thing that would be an excellent addition to that. Anything the commission, through whatever action you take, I don't know if you would act on it as a commission or if you just want to shoot me a note through the chair that's saying, hey, here's a link we'd like to have added to our links page. We'd be happy to do that. And then, as you mentioned, design, the way the page is set up, we do have a custom icon to whatever it is you're linking to, so that it's very easy to find and very easy to see. If it's a particular organization, we would contact them and ask if we could use their logo, for example, as the icon. Okay. But we try not to just lay, a series of blue lines of copy. We've built a very attractive page for the commission on their link site, and we hope that through you again will stay very active and very updated and very relevant to the community.
Great.
Commissioner Belson, yes, if you can press your button. Commissioner Yeager?
Mr. Lynch, I want to say I'm delighted to finally meet you. We've heard your name mentioned many, many times in the past several months, and I want to reiterate what the chair said. We're delighted that you came today. Have some questions. First of all, may I presume that you received the information that we sent to you, as suggestions that should be on this new, what I thought was going to be a web page?
I don't believe I did, Commissioner Yeager.
Can I ask Ricker and Mike what happened to that?
I might correct myself. I might have. I can't say for sure. I remember receiving something from the commission having to do with an event with a photograph. I think it was the bank acknowledgement.
Yes, that was something different, though.
I may have gotten additional correspondence. I frankly just don't remember. I apologize.
Yes, commissioners, if you'd like to forward me that stuff, we can then again send it out to Rika and CC Mr. Lynch.
All right, I'll tell you, though, there was a hard copy that I think only Mr. Mason had because we made, or Ms. Gallagher had. If you recall, two meetings ago, I believe it was, we took a vote on my proposal, and there was some tweaking that other commissioners want to have some input, and it was minor tweaking, so we passed it around that night, and you had the only hard copy, and that was supposed to be sent to Mr. Lynch. So somewhere along the line, we have, what's that line in the movie? We have a failure to communicate?
I apologize if I received it and don't recall it right off the top of my head. It's quite possible that that's the case.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for Ms. Gallagher to find that, and then we'll get that to you, because as I recall, she has the only copy, because it was a hard copy. We had it on computer. We took a vote. I made copies for everybody, and then people wanted to put in little odds and ends and tweak it. And then we gave the one hard copy so that she can finalize it all and type that in for you and then send it to your department. Now, that was a while ago, so hopefully she'll come up with that. I understand that it's from our new commissioner here. So this is going to be a website, not a web page, apart from surprise.gov?
No. All of our websites are microsites that link from surpriseaz.gov.
Oh.
This would be the main boards and commissions page, which is a landing site for all of the boards and commissions. And then on each of those, each of the boards and commissions would have a separate link on that page. And when you go to your site, for example, it's a templated site, so it is identical in the respect of the nature of the links and the nature of the layout of the site. But of course, the content would be highly specific to the commission's activities.
So if I'm not mistaken, that's there now. That's something we've seen now.
Yes, there are active websites now. What I'm talking about is a revision or an update of the look and the feel and some of the opportunities for communicating via.
But just that in that little part that's ours then. So in other words, they would go through the surprise.gov, and then the city departments, and then the commissions, and then Disability Advisory Commission, and that would be the website that we're talking about.
You wouldn't have to go through city departments. The drop-down menu is to boards and commissions. It's under mayor and council.
Okay, terrific, terrific. Getting back just briefly here, I was told, I think it might have been through April Reynolds, through Rick Gallagher, that when we give you information, I was told that your department would rather have just the blank raw information. You're not interested in the designs and stuff because that's your department that'll take care of it. Is that
correct?
Fair?
Yes, that's correct.
So in the future, as we need to update things, or as you said, news, I'm thinking like, contemporary news items, and when we need to upgrade that, I think now to make sure that there's no communications problem in the future, as a commission, we would, discuss something about that, vote on it if it needs to be voted, give it to the chairperson, who will then email that stuff to you as a raw document, raw information, and then if you can, you're going to, polish that up, or...
Well, let me give you an example. Let's say, let's just pull something out of the air and say the commission has sponsored or is in the process of organizing a particular event on a particular day at a particular time, and here's what it's about, and you basically send that information to the communications department. What we would do is make sure that's present on your site under the news area, and we wouldn't just cut and paste what you sent us, but with the basic information, we would be able to simply revise that so that it's kind of in a more readable format and post it on as part of your news site.
Very good, but that's the way you would prefer it, just the raw information, and then you would take care of that part.
Correct, yeah.
Very good, okay. Also on that single copy that we're trying to locate now, we suggested that also be put in the Progress magazine. Now, I know what you just said. I appreciate that very much. If you have room, etc. So can we kind of make our own communications rule that when we send you stuff for the website, that if you can squeeze it in a little part here or there, or some of it, to go in the Progress magazine as well.
That's an excellent idea, and since it will come to me, I will have it in my mind, and it will be something we can consider for Progress. Absolutely.
Terrific. Now, all those decisions, are they made by you?
Yes.
It's not a committee or a vote? Or...
That's correct.
Okay, great. And, the information, the Progress, the website. Oh, and the links that Commissioner Belzin, did I get it right? Mm-hmm. Belzin was mentioning about. There's no copyright laws or anything we have to worry about. In other words, if we put down United Cerebral Palsy as one of the things that we want to put a link to, I mean, we don't have to ask them or anything like that. We could suggest it to you, and then you could put that on our website where helpful
Yes.
links, if that's a separate
Right.
page?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, linking to a site is not an issue. If we wanted to, as I mentioned to Commissioner Belson, if we wanted to do something other than just, you know, the copy type blue line link and use a logo, then we'd contact them for their permission to do that. Other than that, no, that we don't have to need any particular permission to link to someone's site.
Ah, okay. But again, that's something that we should leave to your department to.
All you gotta do is let us know. Yeah, we'd be happy to link to anything the commission thinks would be appropriate.
No.
to
I
link to.
mean, in terms of if you deem it a good idea to ask them if they can use that
Oh,
logo.
right, that's kind of a design thing we do. If you take a look at the page as it exists now, we try to avoid, just for the sake of design, not just listing the standard HTML link, you know, the blue line as I keep
Yes.
calling it. We
Yes.
try to make it a little more graphically interesting than that.
Uh-huh.
So a logo is a good example, and to follow on your example of cerebral palsy, that might be what we would do, is say we contact them and ask them if it's okay to use the logo. In terms of permission, that's all the permission I think we'd need to ask.
Okay, I guess what I'm trying to ask is that if you would like, you know, I'm sure we would be happy to help your department out to get permission and send that along to you when we ask you to put
Oh,
that
thank you,
in.
thank you, yeah.
I don't, is that good, or would you rather not? I mean,
It's just not necessary.
But I mean, I know you're under constraints. I heard about the cuts in your department several months ago, and you know, things are tight. So is that one of the ways we can help you?
Oh, by reaching out no, that's very routine. I'm confident we could take care of something like that.
Okay, so we should leave that to you then. Just come up with the website. Here's what we'd like to put on it.
Yeah, well, we were talking about links.
Right,
Yeah,
the
there's
link.
other organizations that, again, the commission feels we should link to.
Yes.
We'd be very happy to take care of that.
Fantastic. All right, that's good. Do you have any idea, just a window or a guesstimate as to a timeline when this thing might be?
Yes, I do. I would say certainly within coming weeks. It's not going to be months.
Oh, really?
It'll
Great.
certainly be within the next couple of weeks. I think we'll have it finished and rolled out. We're in the final stages now. We just need to link it up to the other commission's sites. And once that's in place and we've beta tested it a little bit, then I'll be sure to notify all of the commissions that it's up there. As I say, you know, the thing that I think is going to be helpful to this commission in particular is having a news site, having a photo site, having a place where people can, and that link site is, I think, is absolutely critical. And then get it out there, talk. If you'd like, and I'll maybe ask through the chair, but I assume that you would appreciate having, say, contact information for our local reporters. I know they'd love to hear from you. Allie's been through that, talked to them a million times. That's very helpful to you, and we'll certainly keep our eyes open for how we can assist in things like the progress. And as you have events, as I say, if we just get raw information, we'd be happy to make that into a story form, post it on your website, and we could even send out an alert about that, saying, hey, there's another event coming up that the commission's doing. And if you'd like more information, please visit their website. We'd be happy to do that. And there's a couple of things that accomplishes. One is it does access our local media as well, so they might be hearing it from a couple of sources.
That sounds fantastic. Thank you so much. And again, I'm delighted to finally meet you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be here.
I'm glad you came.
Okay, commissioners, also I'd like to remind you to keep your questions as brief as possible. We have speakers also waiting, so if the question's been answered, we'll just kind of move on. Dr. Jones?
I just have a really small question, and I think it's something that we had talked about before. For the Progress Quarterly newsletter, are there deadlines as to when we would have to have things in before you would make decisions or before it goes to print? Because that was one thing that I think we were all wondering as far as timelines.
Yeah, I think generally speaking, if you have any suggestions for our department regarding Progress Magazine, if we know about them anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks in advance of the mailing date, that would be within our parameters.
Okay.
And the mailing date is the first of each quarterly month, starting with July. So it's July, October, January,
Okay, so the
January,
first
April.
okay, and then you probably have a final cutoff date that you will take any last minute information. Is that the 4 to 6 weeks?
I would say the 4 to 6 weeks is a great window.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Belson?
Thank you. I just had one more quick question for you. I was wondering about having our commission get a Facebook page. maybe we could even have it linked to our website.
We do have a city policy about Facebook pages. That policy, frankly, does not address commissions and commission members. So we'd have to noodle that a little bit. It's not a site that we would have any capacity to maintain or update.
Could
I think
we
it's an
maintain
interesting
or
idea.
update it,
I
though?
think I beg your pardon?
I was wondering if we could maintain, or one of us could maintain or update it.
Right. I mean,
For the Facebook page.
I'm sure there must be a way where between all of the heads in this room, we can find a way to have an effective Facebook site for you.
Because that would be such a great way to get
I
information
agree.
out to the
I agree.
public. And
It's a very popular way to
Yes.
do that. Absolutely.
so is that something that we would have to take up with the city?
I don't think so. I think, let me go back and look at the policy and
Okay.
see how it might pertain to the commission. It does involve things like formats and standards and access. And let me noodle it around a little bit, and I'll get back with Mike or any of the other staff you deal with and make sure you get a response to that.
Great, thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Commissioner Wilson. Commissioner Klein?
This is a quick question as well. And I have not looked at the website in the last couple weeks, so if the answer to this is I already fixed it, that's great. A few months ago, I noticed on the front of the city website, it shows that P&Z televised meetings are scheduled and available right on the front page. Is it possible, since we are now televised, to do the same link so that when people come to the front page and they look up when the boards and commission meetings are, I think it's on the boards and commissions page, but it shows that the meetings for P&Z are you can click here and it'll show you, take you right to the online link. So if we could have that as well for
Okay,
DOC.
let me write that down so I don't forget that particular one, because I'm not real clear on what you mean.
Okay, so when you go to boards and commissions and it says city council meetings are televised on such and such a date.
Uh-huh.
And then it says P&Z commission meetings are televised. Click here to go to the online link for the repeat. So then it would just be a one bullet line that says Disabled Advisory Commission
Sure.
televised meeting link, and it would
Okay.
be right in the same section. So if you can, if you've already added it, great. But the last time I looked, we weren't listed as part of that.
All right,
That-
I'm just not familiar with that, so let me
Okay.
look into it
That'd be
and I'll
great. Thank
follow
you.
up on that. That should be easy to do. Sure.
To elaborate on that also, the televised portion is, we have to tunnel through to find our meetings. So I don't know if that's a surprise 11
You have to,
issue
I'm sorry, I
on
didn't
the
understand.
website, because they list everything,
Right.
as Commissioner Klein was saying, but ours is not. You have to go all the way through to us and then click on the links and the agendas, and it is very, very difficult to find.
We'll take a look at the navigation,
Great.
see if we can make it easier. Absolutely.
Thank you so
Mm-hmm.
much. I'm thrilled with the website. It's very great.
Thanks again for asking me.
Oh, thank you for coming. Commissioners, anything else?
Again, thank you very
so
much.
much, and hopefully you'll come again soon.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. All right. Item number 3 is the presentation by Commander Gerns of the Surprise Police Department regarding use of citizen patrol for accessible parking information. Thank you.
I'm Sergeant Donovan, Police Department Crime Prevention Unit. I'm also the coordinator.
I believe you and I have worked the health fair. I believe that was. Okay. Right. Thank you so much.
Permanent seat?
It's not permanent.
Not permanent?
It's,
I'll stand.
you're
I've been
free to
sitting-
sit there.
I've been sitting around.
I'm trying to
a little bit, so
see the.
it's okay if I stand.
One called disability
Actually,
presentation on there
Actually, I kinda
somewhere.
like
You kind of like that?
this launch pad.
As I said, I'm Sergeant
Would be,
Donovan, Police Department, Crime Prevention Unit.
Excuse me, Sergeant. Is this mic on over here? That might be easier for you.
Can you hear me?
Right there.
Oh, okay. the Citizens Patrol organization, we have entrusted with doing parking citations and disability citations. Jim Gerns has prepared a nice PowerPoint. He's going to go over some information that hopefully will answer some of your questions. And then if you have any further procedural concerns or some things that you'd like to get some answers to, hopefully I can help you out with that. So, you ready there, Jim?
Ready to go.
All righty.
Oh, good evening. Thank you for allowing me to appear before you this evening. What we wanted to talk about was the Citizens Patrol and our relationship with the disabled parking citation and violation process in the City of Surprise. Under the Arizona Revised Statutes 28-886, the police department can authorize a volunteer unit to write certain citations. We are that unit within the Surprise Police Department. If I can do this, there we go. We are limited to write citations in accordance with ARS 28-884, which is somewhat specific. It says we can write citations, or that we can write citations addressing any of the violations in that statute. So basically what we're looking for is, first of all, is it an authorized disabled parking space for the state definition? And secondly, is the vehicle properly marked to park within that parking space? Each parking space, to be an authorized or a designated disabled parking space, must have two things. It must have a sign with the internationally recognized symbol on a pole 3 to 6 feet above the ground in the front of the parking space. And it must have painted on the ground the international symbol and any other markings they may use to define the size of that parking space. The disabled parking plates and placards are shown here. The things we look for, first of all, would be, is the plate on the rear of the vehicle where it belongs? Does it have the proper symbology on that plate? We'll look and see if the plate is expired or not. On the placards themselves, there are two placards we deal with. One is the blue placard, and the other is the red, which is a temporary placard. The things we're looking on there is, number one, has it been defaced? Has the markings been taken off? Has the bottom been cut off of it? And possibly the expiration date obliterated. The statute states that the illegible placard must be displayed. It doesn't specify it has to be hanging. It just has to be visibly displayed. So when we're looking for handicap parking violations, we'll have both of our partners get out of the vehicle. We'll walk around the vehicle. We'll look inside. We'll check in the windshield. We'll look up over the visor, without entering the vehicle. But we'll look and see if possibly the person just forgot to put that placard up in position. So we don't want to bother people that have a good legal reason to be parking there. Our enforcement targets, number one, to reduce the number of violations that we see out there, and also educate the public on why it is just plain wrong to take those places when you're not authorized to use them. Some of the highest target areas we run into are probably not very surprising. Both the Walmart locations, the Target location on Bell Road, and strangely enough, the Sun City Grand Recreation Centers. And what we see there a lot, the golf carts, the guy will go to the golf, sign up for his round of golf, and he'll get a handicap flag on the top of a long pole. That's only to be used on the golf course. That allows them to drive closer to the green. It does not allow them to park in disabled parking spaces. So usually when we see that, we'll educate the people. A lot of them just don't realize that. They think once they have that flag, they can park anywhere. And we'll talk to the person. If they're reasonable, we won't cite them. If they're not reasonable, we will cite them. We also keep focus on the lower target areas, which is basically the rest of the areas in the city that have disabled parking spaces allocated. We do take pictures of all violations that we cite. We will take a picture from the rear of the vehicle showing the license plate and the marking on the ground. We'll take another picture locating the vehicle where they can see the sign up front, and we'll go to the front of the vehicle and take a picture in the windshield. showing that there is no placard visible anyplace. At the same time, if we do see a placard and we see that it's been obliterated, the date cut off, or anything marked up, we'll take a close-up picture of that. Some of the question we're into is, do we want to educate or do we want to cite people? We have developed a courtesy card, and there's an example of it here, just as a friendly reminder that if we see the placard, for example, laying on the seat instead of displayed where it should be visible in the front of the car, we'll just leave a courtesy reminder for them. So in that case, we do the placard and not cite them. But if there is no placard, or the placard is expired, or the plate is expired, we will definitely write a citation on it. One thing we have to consider is the Citizens Patrol members. We are unsworn civilians. We are unarmed. We are basically defenseless outside of our big heavy car to get away in. And we are non-confrontational by policy. We do not have the authority to go up and request anyone's identification or anything like that. In fact, we cannot even use any words with someone that would make them think that they are being detained by a police entity. So we have to be very careful how we address people. If we see the person come out, and a lot of times they'll get very nervous, say, oh, I forgot to hang it up. In that case, if they show us the placard, we'll void the citation right on the spot. If the violator does become confrontational, we will just immediately leave the scene and we will take the citation back to the station, and it can be delivered by a sworn officer to their residence. We usually don't have to do that. That's very unusual that it goes that far. Most people are usually pretty apologetic that they've done that, or they forgot to hang their placard, or that their plate's expired. So these are the typical things that we cite for: the placard expired, the expiration date removed or disfigured, the placard hidden so the expiration date is not visible on it. They'll tuck it underneath the dash cover or something like that where we really can't read it. If it's occupying more than one space and parked in a disabled van location, for example, and they're blocking the access where you cannot get someone out of the van, we would cite for that occasion also. If there is a doubt in our mind and we think it's a valid, viable citation, we will cite it and let the court figure it out. The golf carts with the handicap flag we mentioned already. This is a number of citations that we have written since, this goes back through January of 2006 up to the 1st of April of this year. And this shows by month when the most citations are written. And you can kind of quickly see that it's rather obvious when there are a lot of them and when there aren't so many. Once the snowbirds leave, the citations drop off considerably. So the months that during the summer months when it's easier to get around town, people don't violate nearly as much as when there are more people here and the spaces are scarcer. So we tend to concentrate on those months when the higher population is here. And we really hit the shopping centers hard at that time in the locations. The other way we look at it is by year. As I said, our goal is to reduce the number of violators. And if this looks by year from 2006, you can see graphically how that number in the last 3 years, we've been able to push that number down considerably. And we do that by pretty focused enforcement of the major target areas. We've seen about a 55% drop in violations, and that's not because we aren't looking, it's just because they aren't happening as often as they used to happen. Now, if the citation does go to court, the Citizens Patrol member that wrote the citation will act as the prosecutor in the case. That's why we take the pictures, and that's why we have all the data we need to go in before the judge and state our case, tell exactly what we saw, when we saw it, describe the vehicle, the plate, the conditions, show the pictures, and in most cases, the judge will go ahead and find the person responsible. That pretty much concludes most of what I had to say. Do you have any questions?
Actually, I do. What is the protocol on someone going to get a handicap placard? Do they pick up paperwork from you from your department and then take it to the doctor? Or does the doctor have it in place, et cetera?
We have no involvement as far as a person obtaining a placard. That's through MVD, and
Okay.
they have their procedures. The police
So
department's
nothing
not
to-
involved in that whatsoever.
So that would probably be a good link to have on the website. Oh, thank you so much. Commissioners, Commissioner Yeager?
We spoke on the phone, Commander Gerns.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for coming. It's a delight also to meet you. First of all, do you know how much the fine is offhand?
It's $243.
Oh, it's substantial.
Plus, if they actually go into court, it's an additional $30 court fee. So it
You
could
mean
be
if they lose?
$273.
If they lose or if they win?
That's if they lose.
So it's a substantial thing. Is there anything that, I think you and I spoke briefly over the phone about this, is there anything now we can do as a commission to help you fight this type of abuse?
Well, you know, I've personally always thought if that sign up there had $243 fine written on it, it would help tremendously. People would really
Yes.
decide, now, is that 25 steps worth $243 or not? And I've seen that in other cities that do have that on the signs.
I wonder if we could,
I know.
we're an advisory commission, if we can advise the mayor and council on
I think that's a great idea.
doing that. I agree with you. I think that would shake some people up.
I think they'd pay attention a little bit because they can feel how it impacts their pocketbook that way.
And if we could also maybe work on an awareness campaign with you all, would be wonderful. What do you
Yes,
think?
through our website and be through progress. And I think we brought up the question amongst ourselves one time. Would you rather or rather not, I don't want to be confrontational either, and I don't want anybody on this commission to be, but if we saw an abuse, is it something that we could take a picture of or call you, or, I don't know. I'm just trying to think of things, that we could do to help. So
My suggestion would be to call us, to call the non-emergency number of the police department and just report the incident. Give a description, the location, what you see. If it were, say, in a complex or an area where it's a repeat offender, that they're
Right.
constantly doing it, sure, take a photograph, then we could follow up with that. But if you're just photographing an individual circumstance, it'd be difficult to do all that kind of follow-up. If you call as it's occurring with any crime, and we have someone that can arrive on scene, witness it, and address it, would be the best.
So how would that work then, that if we call the police department, you have ways to call the Citizens Patrol?
Certainly, we drive the same type of vehicle that the officers drive, just except for the marking Citizen Patrol on the back. We have the same computer in our car. We have the same radio. We can hear the
Same
calls
radio.
from dispatch.
Okay.
We can look at the cars for location on the computer, yes.
Dispatch would, when they get that information, they would notify you
They'll
guys.
put
and
it out and we'll pick up the call in a
If
lot
you
of
happen to be
cases. Yeah.
close by, then that's the best situation, huh?
Yes, sir.
Okay, terrific. And maybe, we'll have to discuss it with the commission, but my suggestion right off the top would be if we can convince the council
Oh,
to get
yes.
little signs and put down, what was it, 240?
$243. Now, that number has changed 3 times in the last
Which
6
is why
years,
most,
probably.
why most cities do not put it on there for that reason, because they'd be changing signs constantly because the fees change.
Maybe we could have something say, big fine.
There you go.
I agree with you.
You will pay.
Okay. Thank you so much, and gentlemen from both of you, from personally, thank you both very much for what you guys do.
Appreciate
thank you,
it.
sir.
Thanks for giving us the opportunity to share with you. And you have my number, so as far as partnering to do some kind of an outreach or whatnot, I would be the one that you could communicate with the police department and coordinate with our CPs and whatnot, and we could get that word out. We have a Facebook page, our police department does, so if there's anything that would be beneficial that you would like to see us put out in conjunction with things that we would enforce, absolutely. I would be the contact for that as well, so.
Sergeant Donovan, when is your next game night?
October.
Yeah, we do it around Halloween is when we normally do
Yeah.
it,
Okay.
in conjunction with.
I remember last year you had all asked us to join you, but there were other things going on, and I don't think we were able
It's
to
a
do.
very busy time of the year, so a
For
lot of
everybody,
activities are
right.
going on because the weather's beautiful, so.
But the commission can discuss that, and that would be an ideal time also to work with your
Absolutely.
group. Okay, Commissioner Belson?
I just had a quick question. I'm not sure, Sergeant Donovan, if you're the one to ask, but I was wondering if you have a program in place, or if you'd be willing to put a program in place where you can meet with children and explain to them about the dangers of not just drugs and alcohol, but also of a bad temper getting in the way.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know of a few people that have teenage children who have a lot of emotional disabilities, and like bipolar, for an example, and not that they're cocky, but they have no idea that they could be put in a situation that would require somebody calling the police on them.
Right.
So I don't know if you have anything in place like that where you can go and speak with kids, or if we could have some kind of a program put up
Absolutely.
for that.
One of our crime prevention, the unit, our responsibility is we go out and educate. We go out to schools and we do bullying presentations, safety presentations, graffiti awareness, drug awareness. We do a lot of those things, and we've actually had one-on-ones with several juveniles that might have been a little unruly. So absolutely, you could call me, we could set up, talk to multiple kids, smaller groups. Absolutely, we could arrange that.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Perhaps we can have you back and you could actually do a live presentation. Would that be something the commission might be interested in?
Absolutely.
A larger target audience.
Absolutely.
Okay. We can put that to be discussed on future agendas. Item number, I believe it's number 9. Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Was there anything else the commissioners had to?
I did leave a hard copy of my presentation with Rika, so she can make copies if you'd like them.
Oh, yes, thank you.
Thank you again.
Anybody else?
Thank you. Andy, you wish to speak? Do you,
For me?
is your,
Do a call to the public?
yes, I'll do a call to the public.
Okay, my name is Andy Cipam. I'm a 9-year resident of this city, and this issue arose at the community health fair that was held, I believe, last November, and there was blatant disregard. They went through a level of security with the Citizens Patrol. They went through a couple disabilities commissioner, and they still continued to, right in front of us, park without the appropriate. And it raised the question, as residents and as this commission has the ability to communicate, we have a great tool here. It's called a cell phone with applications. There's many, many cities I've researched. There's hundreds of thousands of downloads of the application. You literally take a picture of the front and back of the car, the violation, it's transmitted to a police department, and as long as the person's willing to testify if necessary, a citation can be issued. You want to stop a problem, that will stop the problem. And I guess my question is, maybe at a later date you can come in, work with the Disabilities Commission, find an app that works with the city system. The city can certainly use the revenue, and the city can certainly use the lack of violation in handicap spots, because it is a pretty blatant problem, regardless of what the statistics show. I think we've all witnessed that. So maybe in the future, in working with the commission, you can find an application for both Android and Apple that citizens can use. I know we're infuriated when we're out in public and we see blatant disregard of it. And we don't want to pull police officers off the street, but if there's many municipalities across the country that are successfully using citizen Android applications to issue citations, I think that the problem would virtually be eliminated within a matter of a month or two. So I thank you.
Can I?
Yes, please. Thank you,
Just
Andy.
as an example of kind of what Commander Gurns was talking about, one of the first, this puts me back a few years, I started in '94, but one of the first handicap violations I ever issued, I pulled up, clearly no placard visible, no plate, issued the citation. I was all excited. I walked up there and it was sitting right on the dash. I didn't notice it. So my concern with that would be citizens not being educated enough to take the proper documentation for us to be able to issue a citation. They just get frustrated, take the picture of the plate, see there's no placard, and then expect us to issue a citation. And we weren't there to do the walk around and to really look and see that there was, in fact, a placard present. Because even though they're in violation for not displaying it, the courts dismiss them every time when they walk up and say, I had it, I just didn't hang it. So if we can avoid that by walking around the vehicle and seeing it, then, because we know that that's the court's stance, so then we won't waste time issuing a citation and setting all the court in motion to do that. I still think it's a great idea. I don't know if it's necessarily great for this particular thing unless people are well educated to be able to walk around and see that it clearly isn't there. But clearly there's, and I know I'm familiar with what you're talking about, there's some programs out there that are really good as far as taking pictures of crimes in progress, getting it out to the local law enforcement, and getting sometimes a better response.
And fortunately, with this commission, you have a vehicle to educate and communicate with the population. They've been televised since, I believe, December. So I think that it infuriates me as much as a lot of residents when we see people taking those spaces when there's people who truly, truly need it. And it's very frustrating. And I certainly understand what you're saying, but I would assume that's what a court is for, that if they came in and showed the documentation. But certainly we don't want to pull police resources off for things like that. There's certainly more important things to do in the city. So thank you.
Something worth looking into. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I guess this raised some questions. Commissioner Klein?
Pardon me. Actually, my question, more than doing the application, Mr. Gerns, Commander Gerns, you mentioned the little hard copy that says, just a quick reminder
Yes.
that you're parked in the spot and we don't see your stuff, the little blue cards.
Yeah.
That might be something that would be a nice thing that we could put out that isn't harmful and doesn't get anybody in trouble. It's a nice reminder card that if we, as commissioners, could assist in that in some way. I don't know if we could or not, but it would be great to have, as part of all of this, some kind of a community awareness event, and maybe have that at the time when the snowbirds come back, when you have more difficulty or not, or have it when school starts or not, or at some location that's having an event where we could bring that education to people, not only about what the rules are, how to get a handicap parking pass if they need one, because that's a state-issued item, I believe, not a city-issued. Is that correct?
Right.
And also, you know, what the penalty is, and maybe come up with some kind of a campaign that we could do that would advise everybody within the city organization to the positive, that says, kind of like when you said how much it costs to go on there, when you pull onto the freeway and it says it's, $379 to be in the HOV lane. Hello, maybe this is, that 10 minutes isn't worth $300. Some people, roll the dice and they go for it anyway. But perhaps having something that is awareness of politeness, so to speak, but also the consequences of not doing that and what the risk is to them. Maybe we could come up with something that we could do in the fall, that we could work around some other event that we could support within the commission that would also get information out to you. So if you're open to something along those lines, maybe we could meet further and further the event.
Absolutely. I'd also like to share, and this is not common knowledge at this point, but the Communications Division, Ken Lynch and the Surprise Police Department have joined forces and have just recently signed a contract with Digiplex, with the company that does their PSAs, with the idea that we're going to have PSAs, our Lock It or Lose It campaign. It could happen to you maybe during certain times of the year, when the 4th of July, when people are shooting the guns up there. We can do Shannon's Law. But this might be something that we might be able to work with you guys, create a 30-second or a 15-second PSA that addresses handicap parking issues. And it touches so many people because it's going to be in the lobby on those TVs. It's going to be playing prior to the movies, and they reach thousands of people a week at that place. So I will definitely keep you folks in mind,
wonderful.
And we can probably work on something like that. I wouldn't see an issue with that. So.
Also, a heads up, I am going to propose on future agenda items that we maybe get a series going with you all where you can come and put on a little presentation for us on specific items that the commission would like.
Sure.
Y'all game for that?
Absolutely.
Right.
It's all about partnership, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you so much for your time
You bet. You have a wonderful evening.
and your hard work.
Thanks.
All right, item number, Number 5, actually, we're going back to item number 4, discussion with Captain Hamblin of the Surprise Fire Department regarding the fire 911 system and how the system handles hearing impaired callers. Hi, thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for inviting me. Like she said, my name's Captain Renee Hamblin. I'm over the Life Safety Education Division for the Surprise Fire Department. Just here tonight to do some clarification for you on how our end dispatches our system. As you know, we are currently dispatched through Phoenix Fire Alarm System. In doing this, this is joined, we're in an automatic aid system. And what happens is when you call 911, it initially goes to PD. PD will, when they find it that it's an EMS or it's a fire related, it immediately gets dispatched to Phoenix Alarm. In that, they get some key informations. Of course, the address, what's going on, and in the information they get, they determine what units need to be there. For example, a car accident. The more information the caller gives them, possibly the more units they will dispatch to the call. A medical call. Say you have somebody who is having heart problems. They need advanced life support. So they will make sure in the dispatch that they get a unit that has advanced life support on it. It's automatic, so there's really, we like to say there's no lines. It's whichever unit is closest to the call. And when I say unit, I mean fire engine. If it's a house fire or if it's a car accident that's with extrication, they may also dispatch a ladder company. Also, remember, when the event gets larger, more units, they'll also dispatch a command unit to manage the scene. So sometimes you might see a company, an engine company from Sun City West. It's because they possibly might have been going down Grand, and when the computer system captured the call, they were the closest to that address. Okay? In that saying, we also have, if we were to have a major disaster in our community, say for example flooding, hopefully it's not going to rain anytime soon, we can actually capture through our disability database who's in that area and immediately be able to assist them. But that being said, we need people to sign up and fill out that database. So for example, they can go to our website, fill out the form, and it automatically goes into our database. And then that database, it asks them actually key questions that actually keys up for us so that when we have a flooding in Kingswood Park, we can pull up everybody who's in Kingswood Park. And if there's anybody, for example, if we have a power outage, and we have somebody who's on a ventilator, we can actually go to them and get them transported to one of our facilities that has emergency generator. Now also remember, we don't necessarily just understand we're there. We can't really advertise, and we don't like to advertise which stations have the backup generators, but we do have stations that do have backup generators. And the reason why is you understand when there's a disaster, we want to be able to take care of the people that need that help. Like I said, the most important thing is we need to educate people that we have that database. If they're not able to access the website, we actually have forms. We try to get them all out to the pharmacies, but we also have them at the fire administration offices. We'd also be glad to come out if you'd like. If you have a group of people who are meeting, we can also come out and talk to them about it to further educate them. Mm-hmm. Is there any? That's basically pretty simple on what we do to try to keep it. Don't like to get too much into details and then people get confused. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes. One, during the presentation to the city council, one of the things that Mayor Wolcott asked me is if we had stats for how many individuals with special needs we had so that services can be provided for. And we have requested this in the past, and we're told because of HIPAA laws, et cetera. But because you all have a database already, I mean, we can at least get the statistics, which is so important to us to try to figure out what we need to do.
Oh, absolutely. And it's important for us as for educational purposes. I mean, the last number I've heard is around 33% of our community has some form of disability.
Oh, wow.
That's huge. And for us being better educated, we're able to give better services. So get with me, send me an email. I apologize, I didn't bring any cards.
We've been meaning to get together. But
Contact me and I can, remember there is HEPA laws. So there's some detailed things I'm not able to share. But we can go through the records. We have an official records request.
Okay.
We can go through that and make sure that we're jumping through the right hoops. And I don't see, as long as we keep it a general number.
Right.
The detailed things, we can't.
Right.
You know, it's a struggle for me because, for example, APS, they get notified because our electric company, they get notified from individuals, but they can't share that with us. And it's a struggle because I know they're out there, and I know there's still people there. We're not getting connected to get into that database. It's not something that we share with everybody, and it's only there for emergencies. And I know people are nervous or worried about it, but it's something that it's there. And the more prepared we are, the better outcome we have, because we know when we get nervous and scared, it's the worst time of our lives, and having to worry about all those other things just makes it even harder. But if we can help people get prepared, that when that event does occur, it would be better for them and better for us. So
Thank you. Commissioner Klein, don't go anywhere yet.
First of all, I always forget that part. Hi, and thank you for everything you did with us for Relay, so thank you very much.
welcome.
I appreciate that. My question is about the form. The form that's is it, if they don't go online, is the form a self-addressed, stamped form that they like staple together and mail in, or do they need to personally bring it in somewhere?
You know, I say the best is to bring it in.
Okay.
But they can mail it, and it is addressed. In fact, we can actually, if you'd like, we can get on the website real quick and pull it up if you'd like.
My question was, this might be something that in concurrence with an awareness campaign that we might be able to put together, that if every surprise progress could have a form stapled into the center of the form, then every site in Surprise would get one. And then if we had something else going on that had some kind of an article that said, you know, here's the information, here's what happens to it, here's how you can get registered as far as self-preparedness. I can't tell you how many people called me because of the information that was in the Surprise Progress. My phone number is now everywhere, which is good. But I didn't know how many I would get from the newspaper compared to the Surprise Progress, and I got an awful lot of people who called from the Surprise Progress. So my thanks to Ken Lynch's group for getting the information about Relay out there in addition to the WHAM event. But that might be something that goes to every household. They do seem to hang on to them for more than just today and look at the items that are in there. And that might be a way that we could work together with you and our commission to get that form to every household within the city of Surprise, since they're already mailing something out. So if that's something that people can either take to, and the directions say either take it to or use this information to go online. Some of our folks are less comfortable with online input, or may have a physical disability that prevents them using their hands to input or something. And so maybe we can work that together. So that's not something you're opposed to?
Oh, we'd love to. We'd absolutely love to
have you
work
inundated with forms, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, and actually, to bring that up is one thing that Vial of Life. That's a great, or they also call it EPAC. It's just a package package deal that they can put all their information on and put it in their fridge. And as firefighters, we're directed that when there's an emergency and we're not able to get information, to go to their fridge. And because there's two things. Their medication a lot of time is by their fridge or in their fridge, and then we're hoping they do have a BioLife. Years ago, remember, we used to could see it, we saw them everywhere. Well, when Sun Health sold out to Banner, we lost that connection. We're hoping to get that back because that's really, really important for everyone. And in that packet, we could put something for the hearing impaired that they could put on their vehicle, or just something that to recognize that when there is an emergency, we get a heads up that there's some key things, whether they're not able to hear or they're not able to speak, or if they're diabetic, that directs us that we need to make sure we check their sugar ASAP, little things like that. So that there's things I think we would love to work with you guys in getting out to the community, because there's just, in my division, it's me. So just imagine. We do have volunteers that help with our crisis response program. I hope you guys know about that program. You don't.
Oh, you have to come back. We're going to have a regular series of this.
Yes,
stuff.
that's a whole nother. But those volunteers are there for resources while we're out at calls. And so, anywhere you guys can help, we would love it. We would love it.
Oh, this has been so informative. I can really see a direction we're taking here. There's more questions for you. Commissioner Belson.
Hi.
Hi.
I just had a question, and I wanted to know about the form. Mm-hmm. What kind of disabilities are you looking at? Are you just looking at physical or like an illness that they have, like maybe with the heart or the liver or something like that? Or could it be that that they have a child that has autism or is bipolar, so that if something does happen to that child, you're aware of how to deal with them?
It hits all of those, and there's also another. Because you're correct. There's a lot of different disabilities and we would literally have pages of it. So we have that other because we want to know. Because I don't know if you know that a few years ago we did lose a child that was autistic to drowning. And that is something that's near and dear to my heart that we needed to address. So there is on there other. We have people who have special medical devices in their, that's keeping their heart pumping. We need to know, we want to know stuff like that. Okay. The more information we have, the more prepared we will be. So yeah, there is that stuff in there. And like I said, there is another, and please fill that out and put that on there.
Okay, great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Commissioner Yeager?
I have two questions, actually. Captain Hamblin, the thing, I noticed you came in late to this meeting, but prior
I apologize.
No, that's okay. But prior to you coming in, I gave a report saying that the 911 system that we have, which I went to visit several weeks ago, I recently, within the past month, I received a call from Donella Hennessy, the 911 supervisor, regarding just this, some sort of form, and that we could put people with special needs, give that information to them. When I was there, I said, why don't we try this system out? Let me see how this works. And I gave them all of my information. Since then, they decided that they're probably, because of the budget, they're not up to this, and they don't have it in the foreseeable future. How is what you're telling me, or telling us today, different from that now? I mean, I'm not understanding. You're even saying that you're capable of doing this on a website.
Well, because you went to the police departments?
Yeah, 911.
Okay. Their system is, remember I was talking about the first when the initial call goes to them, and then there's a second dispatch, is a Phoenix alarm system. We're actually completely dispatched different. Our computer systems are different. We can actually put it in, like addresses, we can actually put what we call a flag. So for example, this is another program we really want to have your help, is residential lockbox program. That there is when someone has a residential lockbox in their home, it gets flagged in that address. So when we get called to that address, we know you have a lockbox there. We have a special key that opens that lockbox. The key comes out and we can unlock your door. In that lockbox, you can also put special information, like I said, like for example, a diabetic, or even pets, because pets are near and dear to a lot of people's lives, especially service dogs. If we know, for one thing, we don't want to let them out the door. We want to be able to keep them in. And then we also understand that those dogs, especially the dogs that are service dogs, they want to stay with their companion. They're there and so we make sure we don't separate that. So that's how that works is now. The special needs database, that's for big disasters. That's for big events. And that is a whole separate system. And it goes into, like I said, it goes into a spreadsheet. And then it can actually go into a mapping grid. And like I said, then we can do almost fairly similar to a reverse 911 system. And it depends on the disaster. But it goes into our system and it keys up the locations of where we have these people. And for example, if it's a power outage, those are going to be people who need electricity. So when they fill out that form and they check it that they're on a ventilator, and we put in the system that we need to find everybody in the community that's on a ventilator, we can do that. It filters that. So it doesn't give me everybody, it just merely gives me the people who are on a ventilator. So that's how that works. But we're actually dispatched from a totally different system.
So then, if I look on the fire department website for the City of Surprise, I will find somewhere where I could put in this information.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. So I guess Commissioner Klein's idea is excellent, that if we can stick that hard copy in the progress, or maybe, as Madam Chair was saying, if we can have you come and present this kind of thing when we have you back next time, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Flooding the market with your information. Because
absolutely. Yeah. And I don't know if anybody remembers, we used to do a summit, and I don't want to put any more out there. But I'll be honest, and I took part of that, and I would like to, I don't like to put more work in people, but I thought that was a great opportunity for us, as an organization to be able to go out there and everybody, for the community. And I'll be honest, I'd really like to see something like that come back. And I think that would be a great opportunity to be able to present this program.
Well, I will definitely be in touch, because I was thinking the same thing, and we just ran out of budget and ran out of everything for the summit. But there is a health fair that happens that might be ideal for this, and so we have to contact the right people. But we will get together, however many of us commissioners, without breaching the quorum, can meet with you.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I think that would be, and I agree, is find something that programs were already, or projects, whether it's the health fair or the game night, or we even just had April Pools Day, and we're going to change it up a little bit, and hopefully, instead of it just being specific to April pools or water safety, is kids safety, kids health and safety fair. And that would be a great opportunity possibly to hit the children in our community, and then maybe the fall one hit our adults in the community.
I had one more question. First of all, I think I'm going to call Supervisor Fennessy and inquire why she doesn't seem to know about this program when they were trying to find their own, and we'll have to see about that. Also, maybe you could relieve some of my guilt here. Recently, I had the occasion to call 911. I was injured in my home, and my wife called for me, saying what the nature of the injury was. We needed an ambulance. An ambulance came with a huge fire truck with the lights and everything, and I felt guilty. I think I may understand now a little better when you said, well, if they happen to be in the area and picked up the call, then that's the fastest one to get there. And the response time was magical, as far as I see it. But an ambulance came too, which is what I needed at the time. do I feel, is my guilt justified because I got this big fire engine and all the gentlemen that came along with it, which I didn't need. I needed the ambulance and 1 or 2 guys to help me with the injury to get to the hospital, but not the full fire engine. So how does that work?
How that works is your primary care is the fire department. The ambulance is there merely to transport. So we get called to get you ready, whether it's you need to be splinted because you've injured your arm,
Right.
or if we need to give you advanced care, we have to hook you up to the EKG, the cardiac monitor, or we need to give you advanced medications. That's what we're there for. Then the ambulance gets there and it transports you with our crew assisting, or them assisting our crew. So our paramedics will ride in with the ambulance to continue the care until we get you to the hospital.
But doesn't it, as a taxpayer, doesn't it cost us a lot of money to have this big fire truck come for
We're a
small-
multi-hazard, so we get called for just about, I shouldn't say, we're there for everything. And like I said, we are the advanced care. It's almost like you're my family, and I want to be the one that takes care of you.
A truck like that, gasoline only. I mean, it's got to get like 1.5 miles a gallon.
It's diesel, and you're right. We can always, but bottom line is we are your primary care. And I feel we give the best care.
All right.
And don't feel guilty. And that's what I tell people. That's my, primary education is, if in doubt, please call us. We would rather you call 911 and everything be okay than not call 911 until it's too late.
Mm-hmm.
So please don't ever second guess yourself. Like I tell the kids, if you have a gut feeling to call 911, listen to your gut feeling. Because most times, 99.9% of the time, your gut feeling's telling you the right thing to do. So don't feel guilty. That's what we're there for. That's, my whole life. That's what I want to do. I love doing.
Okay.
And I believe that's what I'm here to do. So don't feel guilty.
Thank you. Maybe I could meet you afterwards and confess some other stuff.
No, there you go. Well,
Guilt.
okay.
Well, Captain Hamlin, we do have room for one more question, and then we have a very lovely young woman sitting back there ready to do a presentation and several other items.
Well, I can do her. No.
But we will, and you are going to be available to do regular?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. They can, or
Great.
just call 222-5000 and
Okay.
they know who I am.
Oh, we thank you so much. Commissioner Klein?
Just one last thing. And I think this is something that you mentioned that we want to get the information about it as well, is the lockbox program, particularly for people who are either living alone or who have, or maybe shouldn't be alone. I guess maybe there's one or two things depending on the ability of their partner. And I know in the community that I live in, it's very widely encouraged, but not every community does that. Or if you have someone who's living in a community that isn't maybe designed for old folks like Sun City Grand is, but we say we're active adults, but that's part of it also, is being aware that we have people who live on their own, who don't necessarily have an assisted living situation where they have a call button, and if they manage to call 911 for help, it's great, but if you can't get into the house, that slows you up a little bit. So being able to have both information and a key access for our parents, our neighbors, our friends that live alone, it's a great program. So maybe that would be something that we could incorporate into our awareness informational stuff that we could get out to the community. Not just the disabled community, but people who aren't disabled yet.
Well,
you
the
can be
whole
anybody.
community.
Right.
A lot of times we think, oh, well, that's just for this group of people, or that's just for that group of people. The lockbox program's for everybody. And, and you're so right. It does, whether you're living on your own or, you have your partner that can help you, but maybe they're in a predicament where they can't, or they're not there. Or we have a child that's home by themselves and something has happened. So yes, this is for everybody, everybody. So yeah, we would love to work with you there.
Well, thank you. And look out for the future agenda items.
Absolutely. Thank you. You guys have a good night.
All right. Okay. Commissioners, we have several items that we might not be able to get through unless, take a look at items number 6, 7, and 8. I think those are very quick, simple items that we could knock out and then give this young woman our undivided attention. She has been waiting so patiently. Do you think that that's possible? We can just, okay. Item number 6, we're going to go ahead and discuss the discussion and approval of the prioritization of DAC budget recommendation submittals for FY 2014. That was made to the council. We only have 2 items. Those items are the closed caption. Go, Rika, if you can read those for me.
Okay, the reason this is on the agenda, per the board and commission handbook, funding requests were required to be submitted for inclusion into the budget review process, which you know. The council is now requesting each board or commission to prioritize their budget recommendations that were submitted. So you submitted 2. One was regarding the closed captioning, and the other was the Above and Beyond award program. So out of those 2, obviously there were other commissions that had multiple requests. And so the commission or the council just wants to know, and I believe Chair Hernandez, you might have heard it at that meeting, where they were wanting to get an idea of what the priorities are as far as the commissions are, so that they know what to focus on.
Can you read the budget amounts we've requested for both?
The closed captioning for all televised meetings held in council chambers. There were 48 council meetings and workshops, plus 12 DAC meetings and 12 planning and zoning meetings. The one-time costs were $5,000 for the equipment, the install, and the configuration. Ongoing costs were $100 an hour for the captioner, with 3 to 4 hours per meeting minimum. So the total cost of all that ended up being a minimum $26,600 to about $33,800 a year. And then the second one, the Above and Beyond program. Let's see if I can find that one. Oh, that was easy. $750 a year, and as you know, that's to for supplies and things to produce the plaques and what have you for your awards.
I'd like to clarify to the committee that currently that Above and Beyond program is the costs are being absorbed by the Human Resources Department. They've been taking good care of us out of their budget. It would be nice if they could keep doing that. So if we have to prioritize, my vote would be for the closed captioning.
Obviously.
But I'm just, so we need a motion. Is there a motion?
I'd like to make a motion that we prioritize by requesting the closed captioning as our main priority.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried unanimous. Okay, let's move on quickly to discussion and possible approval of content for DAC PowerPoint to be used at future HOA Academy meetings or any other meetings where the DAC will be presenting. You have that, and this was your puppy. Would you like to present that really quickly?
Yeah, this is the thing that...
Do you have another copy of that, Rika, by any chance? Because I think I gave you 2. Okay, great. Oh, okay, that's okay.
Yes, the chair gave out hard copies of something that I put together mainly from our strategic plan. And this is a brief part of our strategic plan to make a PowerPoint presentation out of, which the chair volunteered to do. And if we can agree on this, we'll use this PowerPoint presentation at the Homeowners Association Academy when they have that. And it's something that we can put in a little, what do you call it, a thumb memory thing, a stick. And anything that comes up, we can use we can use the PowerPoint presentation to let the public know who we are, what we do, and if we ever presented, or any one of us presented at anything, you can bring along this little stick, plug it into a computer, and have that. So, without objection, if unless there's any concerns or changes or tweaks in this hard copy that you received, like I say, most of it is from our strategic plan. So, without any objection, I'd like to motion that we accept this as our official PowerPoint presentation, and then the chair has volunteered to create it, and then I guess we can just share copies of that.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next, we do need to have a date when you need this. When would you like this completed, this PowerPoint, now that we've...
I can check with Ruby, and I'll let you know the next time we actually need it.
Okay, so
And
for
then we
next
can
meeting,
present.
if we can present it, get it to you in time? Okay, that be all right with
Okay.
everyone? Okay, we don't need a motion for that, just as an aside.
Good.
Okay, great. Now, the discussion and approval of March 20th, 2013 regular DAC meeting minutes. Has everyone had a chance to review those?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do the meeting minutes stand up, do the minutes stand approved as distributed? So we don't take the time to read them out loud?
Yes.
All in favor? Oh,
Aye.
is there a second? I'm sorry.
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. It was unanimous. The minutes have been approved for March 20th, 2013 DAC meeting. All right. We're going to go ahead and have the discussion of possible action to place items on future agendas rather quickly, and then we're going to give her our undivided attention. Commissioners? Commissioner Klein?
I'm going to suggest that we have a secondary presentation from the fire department and Captain Hamlin on their crisis response program.
Mm-hmm. Excellent. Okay. Commissioner Belson?
I had a couple. I had an idea for doing a discount taxi coupon, and I'm not sure if that's something that we can approve, but I can get information on it for you. But it's basically like a book of 10 and they're each worth $2.50. And a person with a disability could use, it's kind of like a dollar ride, but it's with a taxi, especially if they needed to go to the airport or something. It's just a little something extra for them to use.
Is that,
Yeah,
is that, what taxi is that?
it's dial-a-ride.
It's-
Not dial-a-ride, discount cab.
Yeah, do you know that it's only $1
Right.
for people who have disabilities?
Oh, no, I did not.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
But that's not
Within
necessarily
the-
to go to the,
Right.
not necessarily to go to the airport.
Just within the city.
Actually, yeah, and even Phoenix, and they're expanding more and more.
But it hasn't
But
been
no,
expanded yet.
No, but they are expanding. They do go out of surprise now for doctor's appointments.
So if you would
But,
like to, at the next meeting, kind of do a little research on that and see just what the boundaries would be with the discount coupon?
mm-hmm. And then I know that there, I'm not sure if we have any say or if we can get information on expanding the disability parking permit to include, because I had a question about that for my son's doctor, about having it more than just a physical disability, having it to where if you have a child with a disability, that, for an example, there's a 4-year-old that is autistic and he's a runner, that if you are able to get a disability parking permit to park in the handicap section,
You do get that through your doctor, and it's through the DMV, so that is
you
already
can
possible.
get those? Because I was told by the doctor you couldn't, so that's why I was wondering. Okay, and then I already talked about the Facebook page, so.
Okay, Commissioner Klein?
Perhaps there's a way that we could get someone from the state to come and make a presentation to us on handicap
That would be
application processes And that might not necessarily be next month, but maybe the month after, if we're getting somebody from the state of Arizona to make a presentation on that process to us. Would that would help probably a lot of people.
I think so.
Process for getting a placard?
Handicap placard.
And if we could at the same time, probably like she said, not this month, but the following month, also get the police department. So this next one would be the fire department, another presentation. The month after that, the police department, along with the DMV or someone from the state who can discuss placards with us.
Okay. And what specifically from the police department were you looking for?
Is basically they were going to be talking about, okay, I lost my train of thought.
Juveniles at risk? Or
Yeah, they were going to be discussing not just juveniles at risk, but they were talking about bullying. Okay. With individuals with special needs, that they can be targets, and Commissioner Belson had mentioned something about how they would respond also to someone with a special needs if they became antagonistic. So that was something she had requested from Officer Donovan.
Sergeant Donovan, I will contact him and make that request for the June meeting.
Okay. Any other items? Commissioner Jones? Yes.
John, I wanted to follow up on the progress. I know that when we had provided that information before, we had information to go to the progress, and it may be it's probably not too late for July now, but do we have something in mind for if we can't make the July that we would be working on, so maybe put on the agenda to brainstorm as to things that we would maybe provide to the progress quarterly newsletter for the next printing, since it would be 4 to 6 weeks before. So that would probably mean in the May timeframe we could talk about it again.
Right. I think that's an idea.
Unless you already have some ideas on some things we'd want to maybe put in. But Ally, your idea about the insert, I think it's a good one.
I think it's excellent, and that's an excellent suggestion. I couldn't come up with anything prior to today because we only found out about the deadline. If you recall, we tried to find out deadlines, and the answer we got was there is no deadline.
So now that we know that there is a deadline, and when it needs to come out, we probably need to, for maybe one of the, May, maybe June meeting?
Because now we'll have to also follow up on learning when these events happen long before they happen.
Right.
We can't just call him up a few days before.
Right. And the other item may be just to take a look at the website, because he said that it would probably be finished in a couple of weeks. That way we could maybe take a look at it as a group to decide what's there, not there, or other areas to add.
Okay, so that would be for this next month.
what was that? I'm sorry.
Ken Lynch had said that the updates to the website should all be done in a couple of weeks, and then we could take a look at it.
And then we'll start by, I'll follow up with Ms. Gallagher to hunt down the only copy of the final revision of the only revision.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner Yeager?
Commissioner
Jones, I'm sorry.
One other item, and it just flew out of my head.
We can go on to Commissioner Yeager while you're thinking about that.
Okay, that works.
I guess I'll do it in my report for next meeting, but I'll report on the registration form. I'll go through that whole thing and report on how it comes out. And also, with your permission, Madam Chair, I'd like to take the liberty to go and find out what it might cost for the signs that the commander and the sergeant spoke about. And perhaps what I'm hoping is maybe the next meeting, if I can get some solid information in terms of dollars and cents, we can vote to advise the city council and mayor on that.
I can tell you, when I worked for Scottsdale, they looked at doing that. It was about $100 a sign.
Whoa.
That includes not only making it, but installing it, going around, and so on.
Yeah, you have to. It has to be on specific materials,
right?
And then has to have certain reflectivity. And about every 3 years, it has to be replaced if the dollar amount does not change.
Right.
Because of the sun.
I have an aside to that, which may work along with Ellie's insert. That might be a good place to put it.
Yes, but we could double up on that.
Also.
Absolutely. Yeah, on the web is another great suggestion.
Really
yes, yes. Exactly. Really, I love that phrase. Really hammer that
That's right.
thing
Good
home.
point.
But for Mr. Mason, I got to tell you, I think this is a program we should also tell the mayor and council that will easily pay for itself very shortly. Don't you agree?
There's a lot of signs, and one of the problems with signage is you put up too many signs and people ignore the signage.
Well, what we can do is start first with targeting in these areas that they're giving us, and then if we find that it's really working, then we can really give them some stats and say, look, this is working, this is why it would work. Commissioner, was there anything else, Commissioner?
No, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jones?
Looking at the PowerPoint, do we need to add, you had mentioned that.
I'll
you
have
have
it
the
ready for-
information, you're gonna have it ready, and that we would talk about it, so do we need to add that to the agenda?
Yes, we do.
For next time also?
Thank you. Yes, the PowerPoint, I'll have that ready for you. Okay, since we've agreed on you're gonna leave the design and stuff up to me, just, okay. Is that fine? Just off the information, okay. All right, Commissioner Klein.
A question that perhaps staff could acquire for us, not necessarily for this meeting or the next meeting, would be when are the signs due for replacement? Because if, as you say, signs come up for replacement every 3 years, it might be something that if they're not due for replacement in the year of 2014, it might be 15 or 16, that then we would be able to put something together for those next years.
This is an additional sign because the placard, that handicap placard, is an MUTCD nationwide sign that's universal, not just to the state of Arizona, but across the country.
Right.
And so the sign you're talking about is an additional sign that is attached to the pole separately.
Yes, that's
Right, I understand that, but if you're having the signs replaced anyway,
You
my
still
point
have,
being, you still have to point a second sign in, but if you take off sign A and put on sign replacement A plus B,
Right.
then you save your cost of
you still have
time
to-
spent. You still have to replace the actual unit, but you don't necessarily have to replace, you don't have the incurred cost of adding something to a sign.
well, you still have the cost of the sign itself.
True,
That's
but
made up,
perhaps
so-
what we could find out is,
Okay.
just to say they're gonna be done in 2016 for the fun of it. We could say to city council, perhaps this would be something that could be considered to be implemented in those high areas of violation. And if we have 100 signs at Walmart and Target, let's just say, and those two areas are geographically addressed first, then we could say, this is how much the signage cost, this is when you can budget it in, and then how much revenue is received from those citations, and then see if it pays for itself before you go further.
Right.
So, but if we don't know when it happens, we can't make a plan.
very good.
Very
Okay.
good
I'll
suggestion.
ask the question to our sign people.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Jones.
Sorry, one more item. I think last meeting we talked about the gentleman from Luke Air Force Base maybe
Oh,
coming
yes,
out
yes,
to make a
yes.
presentation. I know we had too much on for this meeting, but I wasn't sure if maybe we had contacted him or if we had any future, I think Michelle, the other Michelle.
The third,
Michelle number 3, who's not here tonight, was going to maybe reach out to him. So, yeah, and so we probably, I don't know, for next time,
right.
an agenda or the meeting after
Which
that.
reminds me, we do have also Brenda Renow, who's done with her studies now for the summer, the companion dogs. So perhaps, I think we might be able to fit into this next month's meeting, if she does a quick presentation letting us know, because she got a new companion dog, and she is our intern. So it would be nice to bring her back into the loop.
Good.
Okay. Okay, that's it? All right, okay. Now, if you'd like to come up and introduce yourself?
Okay. Good evening. Get set up at the microphone here. Madam Chair and Commissioners, my name is Donna Muse. I'm a senior HR analyst here at the city. My primary responsibility is staff training and development. I'm here today to talk to you about the disability awareness training that the HR department rolled out in December of 2012. We rolled out this program in response to a report that was provided to us by the USA Accessibility Consulting Services, in which they recommended that we provide additional staff training on this topic. The first part of the program was this video here. the 10 commandments of communicating with people with disabilities. I understand we're a little pressed for time today, so we won't show you the whole video, but we can go through a summary of it that I have for you today, and then I'm happy to take questions as well.
Thank you.
So the first part of this video really advises employees on how to interact with and provide excellent customer service to individuals with disabilities. It provided several example scenarios, broke them down, kind of explained what would be appropriate and what might be inappropriate. So I'll sum up a few of the points, really, with the main theme being to treat everyone with dignity, courtesy, and respect, which also happens to be part of our employee policy manual and our expected conduct for employees. So one point they made was to listen attentively when talking with people who have difficulty speaking. Try and paraphrase and ask questions maybe that require a yes or a no answer. So effective communication strategies obviously is something that is important for everyone. Another point was do not lean against or hang on someone's wheelchair. If you are communicating or providing customer service to someone in a wheelchair, try to be at their eye level, make it more convenient for the individual. Another point was to always identify yourself when you're working with an individual who is blind, who may not know you. You know, the implication being that it's really unreasonable for you to expect them to recognize your voice. Another point was to speak directly to an individual instead of just speaking to someone's interpreter or their companion, not to demean or belittle anyone. And lastly, they made a point about asking before you provide assistance. Ask if an individual wants assistance and wait for that to be accepted before you begin helping anyone. So that was the first part of the video. The remainder of the content was written by us, and then it was recorded by our fantastic communication staff under Ken Lynch, and you know them. The information that we provided in that part of the video cited some statistics from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, such as the fact that nearly 1 in 5 Americans has a disability. So we talked about that it's more common than you might think, that it affects people of all races, all ages, all genders, all national origins, and other protected classes that we talk about during other trainings. We also provided some guidance on what we call using respectful language. So we provided an example of saying that she's autistic is labeling someone as if to imply that that one word defines that entire person. So instead, we recommend saying she has autism, which again is different, explaining the medical diagnosis again instead of labeling the individual. We reminded employees that the City of Surprise strives to create an inclusive work environment where diversity of all kinds is valued, and that as an organization, if we are inclusive of people with disabilities, that we benefit from a wider pool of talent, experience, and skills, and that really will promote workplace success for everyone. And lastly, we reviewed our employee policy manual sections, those that are related to ADA. So I'm proud to say that we received very good feedback from the training. We reached 100% compliance with our staff. So a total of 643 employees completed the training, and it has now become a permanent addition to our new employee orientation program. Further, we have mandatory and annual anti-harassment training that is presented citywide. So again, every year we do that. And as part of that training, we always remind employees about the implications of ADA and the ADAA. And we remind staff that it's illegal to discriminate against or harass an individual on the basis of a disability. So I'm happy to take any questions.
That was fast. You were like me. We're going 90 miles an hour.
Sorry, I do talk very quickly. I apologize.
I know she tries to slow me down. I go, oh. Okay. Well, commissioners, any questions? That sounds wonderful. And this just became available as of when?
We started in December of 2012, and we finished about the end of February. All 643 staff got trained.
Is there a copy or handouts that you can give us to look at by any chance?
You know, we can work on that. It was posted on our internal intranet page, so it wasn't posted externally because we didn't have the rights to do so at the copyright with the DVD. But I can certainly work with Mike and Rika and see how we can get you a copy of that so you can view it.
That'd be great to have in our book.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, any other? Oh, Commissioner Klein's.
Oh, that's right. You go first.
Go ahead. Commissioner Jones?
Are you presenting this just to us, or are you presenting it to all boards and commissions?
At this time, just to you all.
We're special.
Yes.
But I think it's actually great information for everyone.
Right.
So I don't want to add to your to-do list, but that would be just my comment because it's excellent information.
Great. Thank you.
I would reiterate that yes, if it's presented to one board and commission, then it should be presented to all boards and commissions, not just because we deal with the Disabled Advisory Group, because everyone in the City of Surprise deals with someone regardless of their ability and disability. But if there's something that can be provided informationally, even if it's not the entire program, that could be a link from our website, working with Ken Lynch's group, that says this is something that is provided in the City of Surprise and provides the title of the item, and that 649 employees within the City of Surprise have taken this this training. I think that speaks well of a success of something that's being done on a proactive basis within the city as opposed to a reactive basis, and that's something that is a good news that we could include in our website. So I think that would be helpful as well.
Sure.
Commissioner Yeager.
Ms. Muse, how long is the video?
The video is about 28 minutes.
Madam Chair, I'd like to suggest that we find a way that we can view it, either, I don't know, during one of our meetings.
Or is it
it's
online?
televised. No, she said it can't be televised, is that right?
Again, I'm concerned about the copyright with televising the majority of the video, which was this DVD that we had to pay a special fee to broadcast it for our training purposes to post it on our intranet-only site. But certainly that additional piece that we recorded, that script that we wrote, we can post and put out there in a more visible way, since that's obviously content that we created ourselves.
Okay.
The thing is, I'm interested in seeing the whole DVD, so I don't know if we can, if we ever have another work session or something, or
Yes.
maybe we can keep
Do you
that
all
in
have a
mind.
kiosk somewhere that?
Yeah, actually we do. In the Human Resources Office, we have 2 computers that are available, and we have more than one copy of the DVD. So if someone comes into the office and asks for me, we can certainly set it up for them and have them view the training.
Oh, great, all right. And are you lending us a DVD, or can we borrow one, or?
I can, sure. I have more than one copy, so you're welcome to this.
That'd be fine. And
Terrific, and we could pass it around
Right.
amongst us?
Mm-hmm. But it would also be great for those individuals to know that there is the kiosk that they can go and look at this at, and then don't have to worry about the copyright infringement issues. Commissioner Klein.
One last question. We have a commissioner who has a hearing disability. Is the entire program closed captioned?
The video has closed captioning available. The piece that we recorded shows the summary of the text on the screen. So it's not 100% closed captioning, but the key points are on the screen.
That might be a problem.
So there's an issue from working with folks who are disabled, who would then have to read the points on the screen without having the words that go with the points on the screen that you're trying to get across.
Right.
Perhaps that's something you might want to address, because I don't know how many hard of hearing or hearing impaired work within the City of Surprise, but here on this commission, for that person to view this video would be difficult.
And to be able to gather the whole, not just a part.
They'd get the first part, but then they wouldn't get the second part.
Understandably, I'm not sure what capabilities we have, but that certainly came up given the nature of the video. So it's something we'll continue to look into, what resources we have for that.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Anything else, commissioners? We want to thank you for your patience. We really appreciate it. We just really had a jam-packed. I didn't want to have you wait any longer for anything. You will come back and join us again, right?
Anytime.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'll leave it with them.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yes. Since there does not appear to be any other items to be discussed this evening, no? Okay, then this meeting is adjourned.